fans of the Southland number 305. Jack Purdy here with Jake Grant. Akshay is I don't know where he is. He's somewhere. Not here today. Jake, I'm back with the highway game. It's episode 305. And
Oh,
there are in fact two very interesting Interstate 305s that may or may not have existed. That is the clue about where on
they
earth these things may have existed in the United States.
with that hint, I'm gonna say that one of them was along the river in Portland. Is that the one they tore out in Portland?
Salem, yes.
Okay, well, close enough,
Yep.
I guess. And then 305.
There
Gosh,
is a section that does exist. Sort of technically.
sort of technically. I'm gonna guess Southern California. That
Close,
feels right to me. San Diego, maybe?
close enough. Well, not really close enough. It's considering California is
Okay.
massive. Sacramento.
Ah,
It's just a 6 mile strip, but it's an unsigned part of that highway, which means it's like not
okay.
per U.S. law, actually, like per the U.S., like actually like an official I-305, but it's just this strip
Huh.
that just got named I-305 because of some proposals way back when, and they just kind of just gave it that. It's
Huh.
there's if you literally, I mean, the Wikipedia page for U.S. Route 50 in California is extensive and
Hmm.
does in fact include a bit that's called I-80 in West Sacramento, but I-5 is the main part for Sacramento. So
Okay.
there you go.
I
There's
was
your
gonna
all right.
say I know I-80 quite well, Jack.
Yes.
That cuts straight across the top of Illinois. So been on that road many a time.
Yes. So, anyways, all right. No more highways to talk. Let's get into tech news. We'll start with baseball, and then after the break, we'll get into the Damon Stoudamire news and everything with the men's basketball team. But to start with baseball, Tech had 4 games this week. We played Georgia State, beat them 4-1, and then won our opening ACC series against the Virginia Tech Hokies 2-1. We won the first game 16-1 in 7 innings. Won the second game 14-5. Did not mercy rule there and lost the third game 9-6. Um, the quick note on the Georgia State game was Dimitri Angelakos' fantastic outing. Really, really good start. Like we were after the one loss against State, which was our only loss of the year coming in. It was like, all right, how are we going to deal with this? We know they're going to put some good pitching out there, and we just outpitched them. And that's the best defense you could possibly have in baseball is really good pitching. And so that was very, very good to see having a weekday starter put up a performance like that.
Yep. I think it's also notable just how much Tech left on base during that game. Could have
Yeah.
been worse, but they did enough. It's nice to see Tech winning games and again to that point, having the pitching to execute when they're not necessarily getting a dozen runs from the bats, which ties into some points I think we'll get to in just a minute right here. So
Yeah.
for the record, you were at the game Friday and Saturday, or just
I
one of them?
went to the first 5 outs on Saturday on Friday before the monsoon came and was like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to wait out 2 hours of this on a Friday night. That for a game that started 2 hours later than it usually would have started, because
Yeah.
they had TV record stuff or whatever. And then I wasn't. And then I was at thought about going Sunday, and then it was like, I think it's going to rain again. I was right. It rained again. So yeah,
Yeah.
that you can see where my patience is on that.
Well, and so we had good coverage then, is my point, because I was there on Sunday. I
Yep.
think I'd like to start with Friday. I think the
Yep.
series swings a little bit more than one might expect on the result there. And it's going to sound like a grumpy Georgia Tech fan to say that, I think we could have gotten a little bit more out of McKee if he didn't have to sit and get cold for 2 hours.
Yep.
And I think that first inning could have been even worse. Tech chased chased the starter with only one out in the bottom of the first. They scored what, five runs,
I
seven
think it was
runs.
five. So I think it was
Yeah,
five by the time that
and
by the time the rain came in. Yeah.
they wound up getting eight. So again, it's going to sound like a curmudgeon-y Georgia Tech fan thing to say that there should have been more, but I don't know. I think Ballard and Campbell were both pretty effective out of the bullpen, but some of me thinks that we could have gotten just a bit more and maybe had a little bit more pitch efficiency and what are you going to do? It was a freaking monsoon. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah. This. Yeah.
I
You
can't
do.
really complain. There's lightning, right? You're that's just how it works.
Yeah. Yeah. With the hand we were dealt, I mean, winning a mercy rule fashion is really helpful. Also, in that case, to minimize the amount of
Yeah.
arm usage there for how weird that game already was getting because of the first inning rain delay. We were up 13-1 by the time by the third inning. So this
Mhm.
game was kind of deader than dead very, very early on, which is good. McKee did end up going three full innings in this game, three of the seven total pitched. He only threw 67 pitches in this, so definitely a
Yeah.
lesser workload than he would have probably thrown if this wasn't warm up, sit down, re-warm up, throw two more innings kind of situation. Now, 67 pitches over three innings, not awesome. And that part, I think that's been a thing we've been identifying his last couple starts is higher pitch count early. In general, our pitchers have just been allowing a or one or two early runs, and I mean our bats have been fine. We're averaging 13 runs a game. Uh, but I think it's just getting through that first inning hump hasn't been perfect for us. But for the most part, games have been settling down. I mean, we've won 14 of these 16 games. Like we've settled down enough to where we're getting what we need to in most of these games. So I think that'll be a thing to check on next coming Friday against Clemson. Is like, all right, how do these first two innings look for Tate? Can he get out under? Like my goal would like personally, I'm like get out of there under 40 pitches. I think that's where I'm at right now. If he gets under 40, knowing he can throw up to the 90s, then at least then you're looking at maybe getting 5 innings out of him. And I think if there's any chance we can get five out of him is a big deal. Now that we've got just ACC play until the Xavier series later in the year. So
Yeah. Um, I think that just about sums it up. I think we can kind of I don't want to say just skip past Saturday. This is one that was closer than the score would indicate, I would
no, I
say.
wouldn't because this
Uh,
is weird. We haven't. This was a rare game where it was close late. Like it was 5-5 in the seventh. That hasn't been our normal. Our MO has been we have scored all of our runs in the first four innings. We have chased into the bullpen and then we're just demolishing teams that way. Teams were playing from behind. Virginia Tech played even with us this whole game until we had an eight spot on that seventh inning. So the big runs came eventually. Like in terms of game plan, that's not like perfect, but it's if you're gonna score eight and win by nine, yeah, just score eight, win by nine, go home. Like that is still ideal, even if it came later. We had back home runs in this game, which was really cool. Caleb Daniel hit two in the game, so that's very nice. That there was a lot of bottom of the order production in this game. I think who did not. Ironically, Drew Purvis was the only guy that didn't get a hit of the starters. He went 0 for 5, but he did have a walk, so he did get on base. I think that's one thing I want to note. Drew has not been like a world beater this weekend. This was not a great Drew Burris series whatsoever. He let some runs stay on base in that loss on Sunday as well. Like he had a bases loaded strikeout.
yep.
Um, so things got better when we moved him into the top of the lineup after he was hitting behind Jaron Advicula and Alex Hernandez. But he's not right now. If I had to power rank our hitters, he is not our best hitter right now.
And I would say that Tech in general couldn't really figure out. I don't know if the bullpen is the right word for that, but Tech had opportunities early, runners on, bases
Mm-hmm.
loaded, just really solid chances to score in the second and third in particular come to mind. But man, once they got into a hole, there really wasn't much doing in the seventh, eighth, and ninth.
Yeah,
And I do want to say it was not an awesome bullpen day on Sunday. Obviously, not every day is going to
no,
be $1 million, so you kind of got to figure out how to even those out. And we've talked about hitting hitting your way to a win, and they certainly did that in the first two games, but it just wasn't quite there. And you can't even say it's a unlucky type of thing because Virginia Tech left 11 guys on too.
yeah,
They worked Tech's pitching for 14 hits. They drew what, 7 walks. There's a couple hit by pitches in there too, off the top of my head.
mm-hmm.
At least I thought there was. Yeah, there were 2 hit by pitches in there too.
Yeah.
So really tough to stomach there, but wet day. There's a couple odd plays of bunts just not being able to be cleanly fielded and kind of weird type of events too. So
Yeah.
not that you throw everything out because you want to get that win, but it was kind of a strange weekend, all things considered.
Straight, yeah, for scoring, that was at 36 runs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was still interesting. I think a couple things I know on the pitching. Mason Patel was on the injured list this weekend. He did not pitch, and that does put a chink into the armor of what we'd want our pitching plan to be. He
Hmm.
didn't start. He didn't pitch at all last weekend. Not Virginia Tech, the weekend, the series before. After kind of getting beat up in his second start, obviously he was hurt, didn't throw. Don't know who knows how long he'll be out. Um, but he's supposed to eat some innings there that other guys are having to eat. Like that second, like if you go back to the 2025 game plan where he's pitching a lot on Saturday after the starter, that's Jackson Blakely's innings, 2 innings. That's Caden Caudette's inning. That's Brett Barfield's innings. Now Dylan Loy has been awesome. He's had 2 starts, been great. He allowed 5 runs on Saturday, but only one of them was earned. So he's, I mean, right now in terms of like surprise, not in terms of surprise starter, as much as Dimitri Angelakis did well, I'm at Dylan Loy right now because he's had 2 very serviceable starts for us in the last 2 weekends, and I'll be very curious how he does against Clemson on Saturday, assuming he goes again. Um, Also, that was that loss. That's the first time we've allowed 6 runs or more all season, or the most we had
Yeah.
allowed before then was 5. That is a Georgia
Yeah.
Tech pitching staff that took 16 games to allow more than 6 runs. That's pretty good by our standards.
I was gonna say, I'm not gonna say that I'm not concerned, at least a little bit. It's tough to see a team in person. First time I've seen them in person this year, and you see kind of like a unimpressive bullpen outing. But it's college baseball. There's a lot of variance. This probably feels like a series or a win. Tech gets three games in the series. What probably decent odds, but it's still
Yeah.
not by any means an expectation to sweep every weekend. So you're gonna run into stuff like this too. Team ERA, as of the most recent poll, is a 3.79. Opponent's ERA is a 14.53. Um, so
Eh,
the bats are generally pretty good. Jackson Blakely, you mentioned Dimitri Angelikos, both with ERAs under 2. Dylan Loy
mhm.
sitting right at 204. So
Yep.
really not too bad there. If you
Yep.
think about it, there's one other note that I did want to say. I often note when guys are named Jake. Can't help it. That's my name. Jake Lanky did allow 3 hits in his third of an inning, but still does have a 0.00 ERA because I believe that means he pitched out of the end of the sixth there. So, I'm not saying that it's perfect, but the devil's in the details on all this stuff, right? And
Yep.
14-2, 16 games into the year is certainly a torrid start. So.
Yeah, no, they're absolutely killing it. Some of the scoring stats, just to put this in more context, we're at 214 runs through 16 games. That's the most that's ever happened in school history. That's an average of 13.375 runs a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna win your baseball games if you're putting up that many. Our run differential is plus 147. That's our best in program history through 16 games. We're at 48 doubles as a team. That's the most in D1 as of when the game finished against Virginia Tech. That's averages out to 3 doubles a game. Our current leader is Carson Kirsch with 10 doubles. Will Baker has 9. Ryan Zuckerman has 6. And Drew Burris has 7 right now. In terms of just for homer count, while I'm talking about it, Zuckerman's got 7 homers. Caleb Daniels got 5. Jared Advincula's got 3. Drew Rogers has 4. Von Lackey has 6. Von Lackey has 6 homers right now. He had 6 all of last season. Pretty good.
Pretty
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 good.
good improvement if you ask
Pretty
me,
good.
Jack.
He's also 6 for 6 in stolen bases. So
Yeah.
he's, right now, if you Von Lackey's draft stock has gone from probably somewhere third or second round to you draft that and we get man immediately if you can draft him, because that dude is seeing the ball like nobody's business. He's hitting 446. That is 54 points shy of Alex Hernandez's mark of hitting 500 through 15 games. That man is hitting
Pretty
500, slugging 712, on base percentage of 612. Ryan Zuckerman's got a higher slugging because he's got the ball hitting all the homers at 948. But yeah, we've got the only guys that are not averaging at least a point 0.5 on base percentage that are starting are Caleb Daniel, Jared Vincula, Drew Burris, and Drew Rogers. But they're all above 430. Uh,
Yeah.
Carson Kurz, Will Baker, Kent Schmidt, Von Lackey, Ryan Zuckerman, all in the fives. Alex at 612. He's got 12 walks, 3 hit by pitches. Now, he has struck out 11 times. But not. I mean, who cares? This dude's got. Now here's what's really funny. He's got the highest on. He's got the highest on base. His he's got 18 fewer total bases than Ryan Zuckerman, who's got the team lead. Baseball's weird. Stats get funky
Yeah.
and things like that. I think one more
And
thing. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and I was just flipping ahead to the future schedule. Would you have guessed that the next four games, three against Clemson, one against Auburn, after the West Georgia game this week, are the only games that Pear does not have Georgia Tech favored the rest of the way?
I mean, yeah, that's new. At the until this weekend, we were favored in these Clemson games, so that changed over the weekend too. Uh,
Yeah,
probably based on that one loss, if I had to guess. Um,
yeah.
Before we look ahead, my one last thing is that there were new seats at Rush Taylor. I assume you saw them when you were there. These new seats that they added right along the brick wall behind home plate, and then some like swivel looking like garden chairs along the right field line as well, down where there's that concrete expanse opening. Um, and people were buying them. That's new revenue
Mhm.
that was not there beforehand that they added. I thought they always kept that clear because of like rules or whatever, but no, you can just sit there like normal baseball, and so that's money. That's big.
Yeah, I thought that was like a safety width of the concourse type of thing, but I guess it's not.
It's a pretty wide concourse, so like having one row, I guess, does make some. It's because it's you can't do like stacked bleacher kind of things. You got
Oh,
to
no
have the
way.
clear
Yeah.
walkway. So just having that like that one row of just stand up chairs, it seems to work pretty well.
It's weird because it used to feel weirdly wide, and I definitely felt it was narrower yesterday walking around. Like
Good,
you
good.
can tell.
Yeah,
The they're kind of weirdly tall. I guess you think about it like at a pro stadium where it's like the really low chairs that make
right.
people look like and with the high backs where people look
Yeah,
like they're getting like
right.
subsumed by the chair.
Yeah.
These are not that. They are fairly,
I mean, that
tall
wall is kind of tall too,
seats.
so like you gotta be able to peer over that. So that's it's good that they at least made him tall enough. But that's
Yeah.
if you want to spend a little bit extra cash to go to a game and sit right, they get a really good view of some pitching. That's a great spot to go do it. And
And I will note they were pretty close to a sellout. I heard through the grapevine that Saturday was a sellout. Not
Saturday
quite.
was.
It was 3,341 on the score sheet. I thought sellout was 3,800.
They announced it was a sellout.
Ah,
Uh, so I wonder if that depends on student arrivals? Question mark.
or actual scanned versus tickets sold type of
Yeah,
thing.
I don't know. So, but at least they announced that it was a sellout on Saturday. So
Interesting.
I mean,
Hey,
uh,
people want to see
the-
winning baseball. They
all
saw a
that
good game Saturday. Beautiful day too.
exactly. No, I mean all these games have been I mean these Saturday games have been really high attendance. So yeah, I'm not even if it
Yeah,
wasn't a sellout, it was still a lot of people. And
yeah.
they're doing the attendance thing is doing really well. There's various players got their custom walk up clapping rhythms and things going on right now. So it is absolutely a good experience right now to be going to a Tech baseball game beyond just the actual baseball itself, which is great. Okay, let's go around the ACC real quick. This was the
Yep.
first weekend of conference play. So we're starting to get some results back from there. What are the things that we need to know about our dear conference?
Yes, Wake Forest is on a 15-game winning streak. They are 15
Oh,
and 1. They swept Stanford at home. So yeah, Wake's looking pretty good. Tech, Virginia, Notre Dame, and Boston College all won the weekend against Virginia Tech, UNC. Oh my gosh, I had this written down. Duke and Miami. So Boston College did, I believe, go to Miami to get that series win, and they're one of the I guess them and Notre Dame are both among the few ACC teams not to be at double-digit wins. So just shows that a lot of teams can make a lot of noise in the conference. I noted that Stanford did get swept by Wake, but you also have a handful of teams that haven't started ACC play yet. That would be Clemson, NC State, Florida State, Pitt, Cal, and Louisville. Louisville is sitting at 10 and 5. All the rest are 13 wins or more. So Cal really putting together a nice, I'd say maybe a little surprising, but they've been sneaky better than one might expect the last couple of years.
yeah.
Pitt at 12 and 2, also sneaky good as well. So certainly not bad starts for those two. I think Florida State, NC State might be one to flag just because I know that actually Florida State took care of business. What am I saying? I think it was NC State that dropped a game, and I believe that was to Lafayette. But if you give me 2 more seconds, I'll confirm on that one.
Lafayette. there's a Hamilton joke in there. I don't have the musical talent to make at the moment. As much as I wish I did, I don't have that talent, unfortunately.
They did drop one to Lafayette, but they did play 5 games last week, wins over Coastal and Queens, in
Okay.
addition to the series win at Lafayette. So 4-1 week, but did drop one in a crowded week to Lafayette.
Coastal's not nothing. Um,
Yeah.
Coastal is not nothing. I think just last bit before we look at the Clemson, I did notice a lot of SEC teams were getting some losses this weekend as well, or just over this past week. So, I mean, as much as
Yep.
like that doesn't impact our ACC standing, uh, anytime an SEC team loses, that helps us a lot because SEC just gets so many automatic qualifiers, or not automatic qualifiers. They get a lot of at-large bids in the NCAA tournament. And so any amount of them losing just slowly opens the door a little bit more for us just to have more room to work with, more room for error. Of course, we just want to win all the games, but anytime we can get a little bit more room to work with, that's fantastic. Okay, let's look
Yep.
up. Before Clemson, we'll just note Tuesday we play West Georgia. Per pair, we are a 9-run favorite in that game. West Georgia is not great. That should be a demolition derby. They have won how many games? They've won what 4 games?
Three, it said,
Three
I
three
think.
wins so far. So yeah, as much as uh, as much as I'm happy we get to play the in-state rivals, or I wouldn't call them a rivals, in-state team. This should not be this game should be pretty easy, all things considered. Clemson though, oh boy, this is gonna be big. This will be a real freaking test for these guys. Virginia Tech was a test in itself, but this is going to be another level. This is on the road. Per pair, Clemson has the 52% chance to win a straight up one-on-one game. They have a 54% chance to win this 3-game series. We have an 85% chance to win at least one game. So as we are, I mean, we're offensively put us top of the comp, put us top of the NCAA. Like that's just where we're at right now. Their pitching is really good. 11th right now by ERA, ninth by WHIP, ninth by left on base percentage, fourth by K to walk ratio. Like really, really freaking good. Their hitting isn't as good as ours. I say their runs per game is good. They're getting about 7, which is 116 spots behind us in the conference. But they still got the guys. They can still do this, but their pitching is going to be the thing we got to get around. If we can get around this pitching, which again will be on the road, this will be the first like true hostile environment we're going to play. Georgia Southern was not hostile once we had put up 2,000 runs against them. If
Yeah.
we can get if stealing a win will go a long way. Stealing 2 wins puts us in a these guys might need to be at the top of the country kind of situation.
Yeah. Because Clemson's pretty darn good. They handle business in another crowded week themselves. I will use that as a segue into Section 103 talk. Maybe a different angle for us. I was just flipping through social media today, this morning, and I noticed that Stephen put up a video talking about the Clemson house shirt. And I know that I've kind of called that out because it looks kind of fun on the site here before, but it was very interesting to hear how they approach new schools. I know we as Georgia Tech grads, Georgia Tech fans, and their original school. It's a by Georgia Tech grads for Georgia Tech grads experience for us, but it's great to hear just the level of thought and effort that they go to make sure that they are doing unique highlights of other places, and I think that video even for us Tech fans is worth a watch just to kind of see what they put out there. It is not shtick; it is something they are doing top to bottom. You can no longer stay at Clemson House. It hasn't been a hotel for like 50 years, and it hasn't been a dorm because they knocked it down like 10 years ago. So no dice there, but it's a cool looking shirt. And if you're headed up to Clemson, I'm sure there are other fine establishments for you to check out in terms of lodging. But in terms of this fine establishment, 10% off using code FTRS for free shipping. Over $100 on orders every day. So go check them out. Tell them we sent you, and section103.com is the place to do it. Jack, what else we got tonight?
My recommendation is to go to the Clemson series, drive up there for a game, and wear your Section 103 shirt. That's my recommendation. I will say the games are at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and 3 o'clock, so it might be rough on the drive time. Anyways, men's basketball. We don't have a coach anymore. Damon Stoudamire was relieved of duties after the final game of the year after we lost to Clemson 79-76 and Cal earlier the week 76-65. What's weird about these 2 games is we actually were leading in the first half and by a kind of decent amount too. And then very predictably that we squandered those leads. It wasn't close by the end. The Clemson game stayed close-ish, but they had enough of a lead to where we didn't really have a chance in that. So this was no surprise whatsoever. We knew the writing was on the wall for month. I mean, our episode about is he on the hot seat feels like it was 5 months ago at this point.
Well, and we did the like cope after NC State. What's the
Yeah,
path? What's the positive look?
right.
Because like that's the kind of people we choose to be. We don't wish this
It was still
on
a good. It was a
anyone.
good win, no matter how you frame it. Like I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that was impressive, and then nothing else happened.
But this is bad. This is
Yeah.
they had a terrible end of the year. 11-20, not good. It's really not good. And you know, my hope, Jack, is that we hire an up and coming mid major or assistant, and that would be
Yes.
lovely.
Yes. That is
But
what. That
we
is.
just don't
Yeah.
have any insight into that right now. So right,
No.
we're about to
There.
board the carousel with everyone else.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean that. Hey, that is the exact thing that they did for Karen Blair. They found it. They found an assistant at a big, good program, and look what is happening to that team. That team, yes, they had a losing record, but no one is saying anything bad about that team right now and how they performed
Mhm.
at the end of this year and how they handled themselves and handled everything with them. This team never. I mean, I think at this point the damning thing about the men's team was that there were many times this season and even last season where the effort was a question and
Yeah,
how in sync
yeah.
everything was. I never got this. There's a few games last year where like yeah, okay, Nate George and Duncan Powell like figure it out or something like that, and but like it was never consistent. There was no such thing as a consistent through line of max effort of things you could point to says, hey, this thing is what can win us games over. At least gives us a shot to win us games. That just did not
Well,
exist in any continuity whatsoever. With this team.
and that's the thing. Like, I'm not really under the guise that, there were certainly a number of years that were better under Josh Pastner than
Yeah,
Damon
yeah,
Stoudamire. But I, as a fan who was at basically every single game of the Josh Pastner tenure
hmm
that wasn't a winter break game,
yeah,
student life, every single one. There was not a doubt in my mind that guys like Todrick Jackson, Josh Okogie, Jose Alvarado, Jordan Usher,
hmm
the guys were out there to play. And
yep,
yes, they were at a talent deficit sometime. They
yep,
really were. And I didn't love everything about the coaching, clock management,
sure, yep,
stuff in game for Pastner, but his guys got better, and they like.
hmm
I'm sure we could say 1.5 million nice things about a Jose Alvarado or a Jordan Usher, but they
yep,
looked like come come what may, they were out there to do every single possible thing they could do to get a win, and that
yeah,
spoiled me, Jack. That's the way it feels like
yep,
key football teams play.
hmm
Like Haynes
yeah,
King
exactly,
will run
exactly,
through a brick wall, and the thinking about more I've been thinking about it, that just is an ethos, right? And
yep,
it's probably that someone is like, no duh, but like you can teach that. You can instill that. Like,
yeah,
yes, Alvarado and King are exceptional players, but I'd say very similar thing about a heck of a lot of baseball and softball players we've had over the years too. To say nothing of some of our other sports, volleyball comes to mind. Like you just got to get grinders, and it didn't. Your point on this, the Tex won postseason game under Stoudemire in our shot sheet, coming out flat against Jacksonville State. That's a team you're just more talented than. You are
yep,
just simply more talented and more tested than, and maybe you do something interesting. But I guess that wouldn't have even changed what happened this year, in which
no.
it seemed like, and granted, towards the end of the year, I was not watching every game because they didn't do much
Why?
to
Why?
make a fan want to tune in,
Yeah,
right? And
no,
that
exactly.
stinks to be in a position. And I love
Right.
college basketball.
That's
Like,
yeah. That's what's so annoying is that yeah, there's we want to love like we want to love this team. And
yeah,
to some extent we always will. It's ingrained in us. I mean, heck, we're doing this for free on a
I'm
Monday
not
night
giving
when
up my season
when
tickets. Like, I'm
right,
still
like
there.
there's a lot of choices we're not making to disassociate from ourselves from this team. But at some point there is a leadership thing that you have there's a leadership hurdle you have to clear. There's a bar you have to be at.
Yep.
And this team, and Damon, I mean, as much as I personally, I remember talking on the show here, thinking like, okay, he's coming from the Ime Udoka side, or not, was it Ime? Well, I forgot if it was Ime or the current guy the Celtics have. Anyways, coming off the Boston Celtics bench. And the Boston Celtics, to get in the NBA parts of things here, have been really good at helping players get better no matter where they are on the roster, whether they're the eighth, whether they're the 10th guy, or whether they're Jason Tatum, and getting dudes to buy into a system, get into it, become unselfish in their way they play their basketball, and and play for a greater purpose. And Boston's been super, super good at that for a long, long time. That not every NBA team can say. I'm like, okay, Damon just came from that. That's a really good place to be coming from in terms of the kind of basketball you are exposed to and helping teach. Um, and the first and the chance, and once we kind of shifted into this post pastor roster into Damon's thing, which hey, we got Mo Silla, that was really good. Kiro, I got a number of guys that were like, okay, you can see there's maybe some pieces coming together here, and they were a net negative together. That's
Yeah.
you'll never survive any job doing that. Like at least at the level of basketball that we need to be playing at. If you're talking about all those teams that's like 330, 330th and Palm, I don't even put that's not even a fair comparison. Like that's a completely different situation kind of thing. Granted, we
Yeah.
have almost lost two teams that have been down there, which is again a really damning thing. You could, I mean, right now for me, I think that Virginia game when we were down 42-9 is probably when we had the nail in the coffin. That's just a hunch. Um, but I think everyone kind of knew right there and then it's like, okay, there's no coming back from that. And they literally never did. They never won another game under Damon. Like the last time we won a basketball game in men's basketball was January 17. It is currently March 9. We had 12 games to win. We were competitive in, and by if you look at final score, we were within 5 points at the end of the game twice in those 12 games.
Oh,
That
jeez.
is, you cannot come
Yeah.
back from that. Now, I say we lost our last 12. We lost 15 of our last 18. No, I say 15 of our last 16. So,
Hmm. Because they played no one in the non-con and were completely
exactly.
untested,
Yeah.
except what, a Mississippi State, UGA,
Mississippi,
DePaul's okay, and there was one other team, Drake, I think we played out in
yeah, lost
the
to
front
Drake.
team.
We only lost by 5 to Georgia, which hey, at Sega segment, I was like, okay, there's maybe something there. That's not bad at all. And then we only won by 2 against Georgia Southern. And
Hmm.
no, there was no promising. I mean, we only beat Marist by 8.
Yeah.
No, so I have the right. That's right. That's
To say
11. Sorry,
nothing about the
sorry.
first game of the year,
That's
but
11. Sorry,
yeah.
that's 11. I got my numbers mixed up. 11's whatever. Okay. Uh, Still, I mean, yeah,
Leave it in.
we're running in circles here. I mean, we all get the point.
Yeah.
Just some overall stats. Damon went 42 and 55 in his 3 seasons. He only went 19 and 39 in ACC play. That means he won 17 of those games in his first 2 years and 2 in the final year. Really not good. Basically, we haven't played this poor. A single head coach has not had this few wins as in their tenure with the program since the 1950s. Uh, so
Yeah.
that's where we're at. Now, granted, it's not like we have a murderer's row of head coaches after Bobby Krebins left. So I mean, there's a
Or
lot
before.
or before really too. I mean, yeah, yeah, I mean, it's only some. It's Wackheider and
And this is
Bobby
a
Krebins
spicy
and
take, but there's some meh in that Krement's tenure too. So
oh, there absolutely is. He was here a long time. There was some bad basketball in there. So, other things. So, in terms of like where we go from here, it came out. I forgot who it was on Twitter. I apologize for this, but that we're working with about $3.5 million for the program. Uh, to put that into perspective, that is poor. That is actually
yeah.
poor relative to the rest of the conference or anyone we want to be competitive with. Um, so far in Ryan Alpert's, and we were pretty curious, like, hey, this might have to be Ryan's first big move, depending on how this season goes. And sure enough, here we are. This is going to be Ryan's
Yeah.
first really big decision: is how do you approach this hire? What you said earlier, find a up and coming mid major coach or good assistant to fill in the role. Yes, please do that. But this is where we have a really big problem: is that $3.5 million number. If it does not grow, people are not going to want this job unless they particularly want to coach in Atlanta or be part of the Georgia Tech ecosystem, both of which can be appealing things. Some people really want to live here. Some people want to do that kind of thing. If they want to do that, uh, thank you. Please do it. We know we are working from a position of relative poverty in the ACC, um, and I think I'll let you say something here in a second. But like, what we're never going to cut it if we don't increase this number. That's just where we're at.
And I think the fact that you essentially have a fully sold out volleyball stadium
Mm-hmm.
every night of the season
Mm-hmm.
and can draw 6,000 fans to a big game at McCamish once
Mm-hmm.
or whatever a year.
Yep.
One where you're consistently setting record women's basketball or near record women's basketball attendance is certainly a great sustained level, even if it's not that
Yes.
UConn level
Right.
of piece for a 14 and 18 team, by the way. And we'll
They are
talk
they.
about
Yeah.
we'll asterisk that because Florida is the only other team sub 500 that ranks above them in Torvik. Tech sitting
Mm,
right at 60th. So that is a deceptive 14 and 18
yeah.
right there with the 8 and 10 ACC finish. But allow me to continue. Softball, not a huge stadium, not a huge venue, but they charge they charge you to get in there now. And
Hmm.
they are selling tickets pretty decently. It's not a
Yep.
huge number. It's not a huge stadium, right? And it's also what your fifth biggest capacity venue on campus, right?
Yeah.
You've got football, which has now sold out more games in the past 2 years than I think the rest of you or my tenure as a dedicated Georgia Tech fan
In the
combined.
past decade, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, essentially, right? And baseball it is reporting their highest attendances other than that 2019 regional. And that's yes, volleyball consistent tournament team. Women's basketball decent pedigree. Thank you, Nell.
Yep.
You've got obviously Tech peaked at number 7 in football last year.
Hmm.
These are a rising tide effects though. It is
Yep.
more likely for somebody to want to go to things when things are good. So
Yeah.
just saying like, we can never compete in men's basketball. We can't draw eyes. No, I would say that some of the numbers they got this year, and yes, away fans for certain ACC programs travel well, are
Yeah.
pretty good considering the non-con schedule was atrociously uninteresting, and the team played terrible in the ACC stretch, right?
Yeah.
So, like, there's got to be something there. I'm sure structurally being an ACC program is just tough compared to what an SEC or a Big Ten program can just do
Hmm.
with money. It just
Yep.
straight up, it's not a level playing field, and it's not going to be. But in terms of strategic small fry investment number in the grand scheme, I don't know. Not that I would trade everything about this awesome run that football's been on recently, but going from 3 to 6 or 3 to 7 million to go from atrocious basketball to competitive basketball seems like a grand scheme doable thing to do. I say knowing nothing about actually going to
Hopefully.
secure
Yeah.
that cash,
Yeah.
but
Hopefully, and when I just look at Alpert's track record so far, they have been finding cash. They have been
yeah,
finding new ways to find new money. We mentioned it with the baseball earlier. They added those really not expensive
yeah.
seats, but the highest quality seats you're going to get in that building in terms of positioning. So like they're absolutely thinking about this. They have been thinking about stuff and
And
how to do this since
and
day
in
one, and they've proven that they can.
And in 2 days, they sold a bunch of them. I
Right,
mean, it wasn't
right.
a sellout, but
No, it
people went,
wasn't
okay, Georgia Tech, I'll pay you 3 times as much to get that seat. Sign me
exactly,
up.
exactly for a seat that could have and they could have sat somewhere else. Like there was other options available, kind of thing there.
As
I
somebody who
will,
did sit somewhere else, yes, they
yeah,
could have.
yeah. I'll just I do want to read Alpert's statement part of it, and now a lot of these coach firing statements are pretty boilerplate, like across other schools. Like they were not unique in terms of like, but they're. I just want to note this one thing because this technically is coming out of Alpert's mouth. Quote, we are committed to identifying an excellent basketball coach that will build a championship level program and fulfill our missions of academic excellence and preparing our student athletes for life beyond basketball. This is the important part here. Georgia Tech's commitment to men's basketball is unwavering, and we will invest in the resources necessary to compete for championships at the highest levels. That's been a thing that I mentioned some a couple weeks back. It's like there is a level of investment that's not there yet. They've worked on Bay football this year. I'm calling. I think that's a resounding success. They got Bobby Dad renovations coming up. Hopefully, those will be a success. This is the next big thing they have to solve, and this is them
It's
saying, "Hey, we're
it,
going to solve this."
and it's literally an uncuttable sport, like
Yes.
per regulations of the conference. Like
Right.
you
Yeah.
have to do it, so you might as well be acceptable.
Right.
Somebody's going to finish last in the ACC. It's inevitable. Like that
Yeah.
is just by definition, somebody's going to finish what 18th.
Yeah.
Just don't have it be Tech. Finish like 8th. Finish like
Right.
10th or 6th.
If you're
Like
gonna finish this
just
low, do it very very
be
rarely.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not
Be
because
interesting.
like we had a bad like do it because you had some really weird stuff happen, not because you just were
Yeah.
literally incompetent at the sport for an entire season. I think that's
Yes.
where we're at there. So I will shout out. I don't want to like demean this whole team. I will shout out Koasi Reeves. Love watching that guy play basketball. That dude did give
Yeah.
the effort. That dude did keep us in a lot of did do a lot of work to keep us in games. I thoroughly enjoy watching him play basketball. I mean, the nights where Mo Silla was able to play. Now, here's the thing: Mo Silla didn't play a lot of these games. I think that is an important caveat here that he was injured for a lot of the time. But then again, you got to be able to do like remember last year when we basically were really good when we only had six available players, and then this year we have one unavailable 5 star, and it all goes to crap. That's pretty telling. Uh, so that's where we're at. So all that to say, we'll see what happens here. Tech season is completely over. We're not playing in the ACC tournament, and no chance in hell we get invited to any postseason tournament unless every other team in the world backs out. So don't see that coming what's at all. And I'll bet most of these players are probably are. I mean, with how transfer rules work out, who the hell knows if any of these guys are even going to return next year. Uh, in terms of seniors, Lamar Washington was a senior and Chaz Kelly was a senior, and Kwesi Reeves. So Kwesi's probably
We
done
might be I was gonna say we might be cruising for a women's basketball situation level rebuild. So
next year. I think that's absolutely probably the case. I mean, we'll see if Moso wants to stay. I have to imagine someone's gonna be willing to pay him a decent chunk there. Jaden Mustaf was getting better, had some moments. Absolutely can be a guy that can develop pretty well. If you work with that Cole Kerouac, same situation. Cam Kraft, same situation. So like, and Bynadongo's got one more year left. I mean, if someone's gonna want him. I mean, if I'm anyone else in the ACC, I'd be like, hey, yeah, that's a really good power forward to have for whatever you need him to do. So we'll see. I no clue who's going to be left on this team after this coming transfer portal, which we'll see what happens. Anyways, that is it for them. Women's basketball. So they had the ACC tournament this weekend. They did exactly what we thought they would do. They beat Florida State by 12 and lost to Virginia Tech by 8.
8.
So I mean, nothing. There isn't a massive takeaway. I will note this Virginia Tech game. We were up 14 points in the first quarter. We had them shook for a second. They eventually figured out that they're Virginia Tech. They're really good at defense. Why don't we start doing that? And then they did kind of pound us into the ground throughout the rest of the game. And they scored
Yeah.
42 points over the middle quarters. And then they led by 13 at one point. So like they really flipped that game on its head once they got their own stuff going on. I got to shout out to Leah Walker, though. She went for 20 points and 8 rebounds. She's been fantastic down the stretch these last few games. Really, really, really big bright spot. There is, I mean, like, just a quick look at the schedule for the roster of the women's team here. We're gonna lose Brianna Turnage. She's graduating, but there's a lot. And Catherine Albin's gonna graduate. She wasn't as massive in the rotation, but between Talia Walker, between Jada Crawshaw, between Erica Moon, there are some players here that did some damage that can do some damage next year again. So we'll see what
Yep.
this looks like for Karen Blair next year as she solves some things here. Inez Noguera didn't really end up playing that much at all this year. I think she was hurt. And so she was but she was playing really important bench vocal leader kind of stuff. So that absolutely a good glue guy thing. So she knows the pieces. Ari Termes played a lot this year, so I think we get one more year of Termes, so we still got some size up in the middle, which is good, and just some really good basketball IQ. So there is continuity, hopefully coming next year. I say hopefully because who the hell knows with the portal still, with how that all works. But overall, as you mentioned, what were those Torvik things you say that Torvik thing you said again about Florida and us?
Florida's the only other sub 500 team, or the only sub 500 team that is above us in the Torvik. They're at
Okay,
like 38th, I think. You'll note that's interesting considering we lost to them early in the year.
that's true. Yep, yep,
But I think that speaks to the relative similar position of both programs. Played tough schedules. Just the way things pencil out. Again, that 14 and 18, putting them 60th in Torvik is led in no small part by a really solid ACC showing. And then
yep,
if you can change so many things in a hypothetical, but if you flip that the Jacksonville game and then one other, then you're sitting at 500 and you're probably looking at
yep.
some sort of edge case of postseason type interest. But
Something, yeah,
I
and
think
maybe
that
that.
just shows to how this team gelled as the year went
Yeah.
on.
And maybe the Princeton game. They're only 7 spots ahead of us in Torvik. They went 24-3 this season. They were really, really
Yeah.
good. But talk about like that would have been like an actually really impressive resume builder if they managed
Hmm.
to pull that game off. It was close, very early season. I don't want to throw any shade against on our gals about this game. We knew that was going to be
Oh,
hard from the get go, and they played really well against
and
us too.
And I'd say even more so, a sign of improvement is, a close loss to a team like Wake Forest pretty early in
Yeah,
December. I guess midway through December, that early in the conference slate, not really gelling yet. It was by one point, I believe it was on the road as well. So that's kind of a kind of my one of my other
Yeah,
candidates for
yeah,
interesting. Maybe St. John's too, but you
yeah.
get the idea, right?
That was before the winter break. Those were the last games before winter break
Yeah.
when this team really had the big turnaround and played really well down the stretch. I will
Yep.
note game scores 96 against Florida State, 90 against Virginia Tech. So that's in their last three games were hundreds. Their last six games were 94, 91, 74, 100, 96, and 90. So yeah, they absolutely finished on the upswing that we've been noting all year long.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we will probably not see them again this year. The WBIT exists. That's a thing we played it a couple years ago under Nell. Yeah, yeah, maybe get an invite there. Who the hell knows? So
Eh.
I'm not. Probably not. I don't. Basically, we're throwing our hands up. We don't know. They may play again. They may not. We'll see. There's other postseason stuff. That's not the NCAA tournament. We're not gonna make the NCAA tournament. So there's other stuff out there
Yeah.
that maybe they get invited to, because they're still a attractive team. All right, softball. Big weekend for them. They played Troy. Lost to Troy on Tuesday. We allowed 6 runs in an inning and just don't have the bats to counter it. And then we played Clemson. Now we lost the series 2-1, but most importantly, we got one. We have never gotten
Yeah.
one against them, and we got one against them in a very tight third game of the series. Do you want to walk me through your thoughts of how this went before I dive into some nitty gritties?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a midweek loss to Troy sounds a little spooky. They're a top 80 type team, depending on who your ranking of choice is there. So certainly not anything too shabby there. Obviously, you do want to you do want to win those games. That's why you
Mm-hmm.
schedule it. But this team's been scheduling tough, and there's no pushovers on the schedule by any means. So
No.
a little bit tough there. I think the 9-4 was a little bit deceptive. Watched that game, and there's a lot of one fell swoop
Mm-hmm.
takeaways. I would say the if you were to go and break it down inning by inning, it's one that Tech was very competitive in until it kind. I'm not even going to say it all fell apart because I don't think that's an accurate way to describe it. Tech got 3 early runs. Clemson answered right back, and then they held them off the board until just a kind of all coming undone fifth
Mm.
inning. It was just tough. Couple just missed the edge of the zone type of pitches, and when the
Yep.
bases are already loaded, then that's that's going to be a run, right? So
Yep.
I can't really fault them too much there. It was, I would say, more competitive than the final result, and they really just could not string it together off of Clemson's pitcher who did wind up throwing a complete game. I believe they did out hit Clemson 10 hits, but left 8 on base, which that's Tech walking a lot of batters, which I think goes to my point earlier. So
Yep.
obviously, still a 5 run loss is a 5 run loss type of deal, but that one was pretty close. I did not watch game two. Jack, I know you have some commentary on that though. I was out
Uh,
and about myself.
yeah. We got no hit. We did not hit. We did not record a single hit, and we almost forced extra innings, and then they hit a game-winning homer with 2 outs in the bottom of the seventh.
Yeah.
So talk about close. Now, Timber Harris, Sidney Watts, Michaela Caulfield, really good to allow only 2 hits in a single game against Clemson. That is, if you tell me that we have allowed only 2 hits to Clemson, I don't care what the context is. I'm saying hell yeah, let's go. Now, unfortunately, we got no
Yeah.
hits, so like that's just a rarity right there. And game-winning shot to finish is unfortunate there. But they carried a lot of that clutch pitching into the second game with a whole different set of pitchers, though, which is what's really promising to me is that we had 5 pitchers pitch high-quality innings against one of the best teams in the country. Game three, we win
On
4-3
national TV,
on
on
national
national
TV.
TV
Uh,
at night,
yeah,
long weekend, like that's a
ex-
lot. That's a
exactly,
lot.
exactly. Game three, we win 4-3. Madeline Johnson and Kenley Hillary combined to finish that game. Clemson had a lot of chances to pull ahead late in this game. Kenley Hillary had to deal with basis juice situation, got out of it, only allowed 1 run, got out of it well. We were just throwing ball after ball after ball after ball. Um, but had just enough hitting. Jaden Gailey had a very, very timely homer late in the game to get the 4th run. Like this was a very, very good team win in a lot of ways.
Well, and Tech out hit him too. I mean,
Yeah.
that is the key. Is Tech, stranded some runners, sure, walked some runners, sure, but it was good enough to win pitching
Mm-hmm.
and timely enough to win hitting, and that's that. winning a close game in another opponent's building, who you have literally never beat before.
Hmm.
I think Jack, if this game plays out, and obviously, you can again make all the alternative scenarios you want,
Hmm.
but I think if this game Friday plays out like this, we probably see him flip another just from sheer mental. I,
Yeah,
I think this is a psyche win, is how I should
absolutely.
put it. The
It's
right way to say it is going forward. This is a game that you go look at what we did on Saturday and Sunday against that team in that ballpark.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
It's
That's what I
not a
love about.
fluke.
That's what I love about, and I really like how the progress Sydney Watts makes because she allows a decent amount of runs against Troy, and then comes in and does what she does against Clemson on Saturday. So that massive impressiveness there.
And I'll point out Sunday's pitching staff for Clemson. Um, they brought in uh, Dunning to throw basically a third of an inning. So
Yeah,
that is a pitcher who beguiled them the day before, throwing a
yeah,
complete game. But starter for Clemson, Manis did throw a complete game, like I said on Friday. So Clemson really had to get by with two superb pitchers,
yeah,
and I'm thinking, maybe if you could see between what Johnson, Hillary, Caulfield, Watts, Harris, those were the ones we mentioned, and there's a couple
hmm,
other in the mix. I think Kunane pitched in that 5-run inning on Friday. This is not excellent podcasting at the moment, but I think you get the direction I'm going. There's some
yep,
depth, there's some things to work with. Tech is really just gonna seems to me have to be flexible, but if you're getting more short outings out of more players, maybe that means you have more to plug and play across a full
yep,
weekend as we get more experience and more down the stretch. I think yeah, they went 1-3, but this is a good combo of 1-3. You're ending on a win and really taking momentum into
yeah,
next week, and you got a great win on the road. So
they demonstrated a path to win to win close ACC games that they're going to need to win over the course. Like Brees Hunter, Jaden Gailey, Alyssa Weiler all had big offensive moments in this series as well. So like there is multiple people that have shown that they can produce a lot in a single game from the plate, and people that have shown that you can combine, mix and match how you need to in the circle. And as long as you
and
got one good pitcher a day, that's usually enough. Like they can run, they can throw a lot. So
and Clemson's not a great RPI yet. They had a little bit of a soft non-con, but they're 24 in net. So maybe not host caliber or anything quite yet, but we'll see a very similar Duke team, I believe, in a couple of weeks. And
yeah,
UVA's been off to a pretty good start as well. I think they're 14th. So
yeah.
this coming weekend against UVA should make for interesting softball. So,
Yes. Tuesday we play UAB, 6 o'clock Tuesday, and then we go to Virginia this weekend to face the Hokies. At least according to Pair, they've got them as a 2.5 run favorite in each of these games. We got about a quarter of a chance to win a single game, so we probably should get at least one out of there if things go by the math. But UVA definitely has the advantage here, kind of across the board. Their pitching has been very good, very
I'd like a
very
two and
good.
two week, Jack. I
Two
feel
and
like
two.
that's doable.
If that, I would take that in a heartbeat. I would take that in a heartbeat. Yeah, Virginia's pitching has been really, really good. So if we can get around them for a game, that'd be huge. That would be huge. Because again, this team's gonna probably be pretty bubbly come tournament time. It's really early, but Paris got us in the last four in at the moment, which is not far off from where we were last year. And so the progress will be getting out of that. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Into like okay, we can pretty
Stay
much be in the
above 500.
yeah. I think
That's
that's the
the
goal.
goal the rest of the way, Jack. The
Yes.
schedule is hard enough. Stay above 500 by a game or two, and I'm liking the
They're
chances.
in. Oh yeah, they're in. They're absolutely in. All right, we'll be quick here to wrap up because I know we've run a decent amount of time here. Give me what happened with men's tennis.
Yeah, it was a tough sledding week for them. They lost 4-0 at Notre Dame and then lost 4-3 at number 44 Louisville. That tells me that we probably slot pretty competitively to Louisville. I'm not going to go too much into Notre Dame. It was a lot of set losses on singles as well, but Notre Dame's pretty good. When it comes to the Louisville specifics, Tech lost doubles point. That is your difference on the match, and all three of those were very, very close. Um, as said, it probably implies we're pretty close to about top 50
Yeah,
type of caliber. Tech did lose in three on court four. Jonathan Erwanto lost 4-6, 6-4, 6-3. All the other singles decisions were two setters. So really tight there. If you
Yeah.
flip one of those two results, it looks a little bit different for Tech. Also, I lied. We did win the doubles point. My
Oh,
my
yeah.
apologies. So
Yep. We
that
sure did.
was
Yep.
I got crossed up. But anyways, you flip that last set on singles court four. I think the point stands. So
Well,
pretty competitive showing
it,
there.
it makes sense that this was 4-3 considering at the time of the game, Louisville was ranked 44, we were ranked 45.
Yeah.
So that seems like the
Yep.
rankings are pretty good.
Yep.
They got us exactly where we should be, and where
Yeah.
they should be as well. Yeah, that Irwanto match was the only one to go to a third set, so that came down to him. So that would have been fun to watch. They
Yep.
play this weekend at home. They'll be back on home. They play the Florida teams. They got Miami on Friday and Florida State on Sunday. We have nothing for the women. They had the weekend off. They face the Virginia teams this weekend. Golf next plays this coming weekend at the Palma Valley Invitational. That's out in Palma Valley, California. Any notes there?
I will say I do have one women's tennis notes.
Oh,
Tennis note. They play the 12th and 14th. So I believe that means back to back to back to back days for Ken Byers. So if you just want any tennis, show up
good point.
one day and enjoy.
Yeah,
Weather's supposed to be
yeah.
pretty good, I think, on Saturday. So
Let's look here. Yep, that is a
yeah.
Friday. That is a Yep. Nope, I'm looking at the wrong thing. What am I? Wait a minute. Yep, there you go. Thursday, Saturday. That's right. Yep. That is what
Yep.
is going on.
Which is
Virginia's
unusual, but probably because we have the men at home Friday, Sunday. So
something like that. Yeah. Should know Virginia's ranked number 18. That's not gonna be easy whatsoever. So we'll see how that goes. Track and field had nothing going on either. So this was a note that I may have heard through the grapevine that we couldn't talk about last week, but we can talk about now. Uh, you know how we talked about how Delta giving $5 million for the AE building?
yeah.
Well, the state's giving $88 million for that building. Uh,
Okay. Okay.
so pretty big win there in the altered state budget that just came out. That was just signed by the governor. So this building that we've been trying to get off the ground for years, it's getting off the ground now. This is the funding we needed.
Yeah.
It's happening. This is real. Campus is going to be it continually evolves, continuously is getting better, evolving for our modern day needs. And right now, the Guggenheim Aerospace Engineering Building looks like it was built when it was built, which was the 1940s
Yeah.
or 30s, 40s. I should know this off the top of my head. It's old. It's really old. It's almost 100 years old if it isn't already 100 years old. And so we've been needing this for considering this is our number one export, and this is one of our most. This is arguably you could make an argument this is the most important major we have on campus. Um, they need this. This is huge. So uh,
Not all aerospace engineering and aerospace aviation related jobs are aerospace engineers, Jack.
this
Just
is
just putting
true.
that
This
out
is
there.
true.
Takes a business major, takes mechanical engineers,
This it
electrical,
does.
the whole chemical, takes the whole team, industrial, engineering, ID, everything top to bottom. But it certainly is something that
Yes.
bolsters our state, whether it's manufacturing or moving people. There's a lot of it that happens here.
Yeah.
So.
Shout out to the school chair Jimmy Mitchell, who's been doing a lot of good work behind the scenes to get this done as well. Uh,
Jack, do we know where
yeah.
they're putting the new building?
Yes.
Is that public?
This has been known. I think I think it's actually in like the plans from that they released like 3 or 4 years ago too. The idea is it's going to be across the street going north in that empty park next to the Wells Fargo, and basically
Okay.
directly across the street from the Coca-Cola building. So we're talking about the intersection of Techwood Drive and North Avenue is the main.
So the like green plat that there's like a Coke building on North Ave, and then there's a green space
Yeah,
that looks like there used to be a building there, and then there's the aerospace. So they're keeping everything
very
pretty
close by.
close to
That
the
I mean, that's
existing
the only
business.
place we could put it, anyways, without tearing
Yeah.
down Guggenheim. So, uh, that's the dealio there. Uh, Other things going on. Bobby Cremens is getting the NABC International Lifetime Achievement Award, so kudos to him. Good to see him still kicking and getting some cool stuff. Uh, for the spring game, if you want to pay $150 to have lunch with Bill Curry, Randy Rhino, and Morgan Burnett and Roddy Jones, you can do that. They just announced that you can buy some very limited supply tickets for a brunch before the morning of the spring game. Roddy Jones will be interviewing them all, these three fellow gentlemen, on a panel beforehand. So, hey, another way, money machine go Burr. This is it. Just
Interesting slice of three eras and three very interesting dudes too.
it
So
is true.
yeah.
Bill, I interviewed Bill Curry last year. It's good to see that he's still able to do stuff like this, and just getting around. He's still very much in contact with a lot of his players and things like that. So, like, I love that he's still coming around to campus and doing things like this. Randy Rhino has just been with the team for years, the team chiropractor. Like he's just around. You can find him on the staff. You can find him like on the football staff right now if you want. And then Morgan Burnett recently had his NFL career. And Roddy Jones just out there doing ACC network stuff, making us look good. So I think that's it. I think we did it all.
Yeah. We did it. I'll take us out. I think it's almost exactly 1 hour. So, snappy as ever.
Perfect.
Thanks for hanging with us for an hour of your, I guess, Tuesday morning commute or whenever you're listening to this. As always, tell folks where to find us. We appreciate it. The best way to spread word about the podcast is through your word of mouth. Spread word about FromTheRumbleSeat.com too. That's where the written word associated with this here blog lives. You can email us FromTheRumbleSeat@gmail.com. Thoughts, ideas, comments, suggestions, anytime over there. You can find us on Blue Sky, FTR's blog at Jake Grant 98, Jack Nicholas. Jack is over there. You can find Game on Paper there as well, GameOnPaper.com for when the football season starts back up. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at From the Rumble. So you can find Steven and the gang at Section 103 on Instagram as well. And you can find this podcast, again, wherever fine podcasts are sold. Until we speak again, good night, good luck, go Jackets.